Thanks for joining our talk, everybody. So I'd like to start first with a vision, and this is a vision that we share within IT at Spotify. And it's like even in a large corporation, IT can provide a personal level of service to each and every employee. And Spotify is getting pretty big now. We're much larger than we were before, so this vision is shared by everybody. A bit about myself. My name's Rick. I'm coming from Manchester in England. I moved to Spotify about 4 years back and work in our Stockholm office out there. And my responsibility, I'm the service owner for IT support. So I'm responsible for setting out the organizational structure and making sure that our IT support service is really delivering what the business needs. I'm joined with my colleague Daniel.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining to our talk. So my name is Daniel Vázquez. I moved from Spain 1.5 years ago. I live in Stockholm now, and I work as an IT engineer in the IT support team. Spotify, does anyone know who Spotify is? What do we do? Which company is that? Okay, so Spotify is one of the, for those who don't know, Spotify is one of the biggest music streaming services in the world. It's a company that is experiencing a hypergrowth now, that we are 6 times larger in 4 years. Just to give you an idea, in 2011 we were 300 employees, and this is when Rick joined. And now in 2015 we are around 1,800 employees. So it's a company that is experiencing this hypergrowth, and as I said, and it's been really difficult to make this happen. And we have a lot of teams in different parts of the world, in different continents. And yeah, this is our team, Spotify Internal IT. This is a picture from our last offsite, and we are a team around 30 people distributed in 4 different hubs: Boston, London, New York, and Stockholm. In the internal IT support team where I work, we are 8 people, 8 technicians, and yeah, we are really proud to work with these great people.
So our agenda for today, we're going to talk a little bit before we had JIRA in place, when we had this single email inbox shared by our staff. We through to JIRA Service Desk, while we put that in place, how we rebuilt our service platform with JIRA Service Desk, and then some results that we saw from doing that. So before JIRA, I said we had a single email inbox, and this was 2 of our IT technicians at the time. They were sharing this email inbox. All of our requests were coming through by email. And I mean, I guess this is probably familiar to some people that are here right now. Maybe haven't put a service desk in place. So in 2011, we actually adopted JIRA. We wanted to put JIRA in place. We wanted to have more tracking and ownership of our issues that were coming through, and we wanted to be able to follow up on the tasks that were going through. We didn't want our tickets just to be lost or nobody to actually answer the email. So we put JIRA in place. And this is an early workflow that we had in JIRA. The emails came in, they went through into an open state, and eventually got closed. And these were all in one support request issue type as well. And technicians own their own filters and labels and things to organize these issues. And as the team scaled up, we also found that email was scaling really badly. These emails coming through into JIRA, it just wasn't working out for us. And just to show what we were dealing with, these are IT tickets. So this is going right back from 2011 to now. We were scaling up rapidly in the amount of tickets, huge increases over time. And actually, we just hit 40,000 IT tickets today. So I'm really proud of the team, the amount of work that we've pushed out. And 40,000 in the time we've had JIRA installed, it's 5 years. So that's just tickets for IT support. So all of this left us with a lot of problems that we wanted to solve, and we needed a new solution for how to look at this. First of all, we had no categorization on our issues that were coming through to JIRA. I mentioned everything was coming into this one issue type. Our tickets were getting lost amongst the system, and we had no track over them. The lead times in tickets were getting a lot longer as well. The staff didn't know which tickets were a priority. And company satisfaction with IT was really dropping because of the lead times getting longer, because we weren't tracking things well. So, Daniel?
So we placed a bet on JIRA Service Desk to help us solving our problems. And what did we hope to achieve? We wanted to have a knowledge base where users could go and take all the articles and make this like a self-service thing. We wanted to have as well a better user interface, so something that is user-friendly for the user. They can go there, get the support they want, and that is easily to read for everyone. And we also wanted to have one place for IT support. We wanted to avoid having different channels of communication. We wanted to avoid having people pinging us in Hangouts, Slack, or HitChat, or any other platform. We wanted to have one place for everyone to go and to get the best support ever. But still, 95% of the tickets were still created via email. That means that only 5% of the tickets were created through the portal.
So within 95%, I mean, 5% of our issues were coming through Service Desk, and we thought, well, what's going on here? We thought that Service Desk were going to solve our problems. And we realized at that point, okay, we're going to need to take a step back. We're going to need to rebuild our whole support platform around Service Desk, and then see if we can get some much better results out of it. So we started off by, first of all, we'd not really put so much thought into the categories that we had on the portal. We had, I think, 3 different categories there that people could put issues in, and they just usually picked the top one because that was the one that seemed to be okay for them. It was access request. So we expanded that pretty severely, and we put lots more options there on the portal, and that allowed the users to better categorize things for themselves and gave us much better insight into where our tickets were coming from and what they were based about. And with these categories as well, we could begin with a more appropriate workflow. So we really expanded on the sort of open, in progress, closed thing. We began to track actually when the ticket was between IT action need and awaiting user response, and we could have accountability on that as well, as it's going back and forth between those 2 statuses, and bringing them up into blocked and scheduled statuses if they need to, if work needs to be done at a later date. Another thing is we actually began to track a lot more stuff. Up until this point, about a year back, we had no idea where our tickets were coming from in the world. And we have a lot of offices at Spotify around the world, and we had no idea where our IT tickets were actually coming from. And now we do. That's an option on our portal, and that's something we track now. And it's funny, actually, that Stockholm is our largest office, but does less tickets than New York. So anyway. We also began to track severity on our tickets as well, and allowing users to come in and choose how important they feel it is to get the help from IT support. So if they put a P1 ticket in, they know they're going to get a response within 30 minutes. And every time I tell this to somebody, they say, well, don't people just put everything in as P1? Don't you get all your tickets coming through as P1? And actually, we're pretty fortunate that most people don't do that. Most people are pretty reasonable and are putting stuff in as P4. And it's been really good for us to know and get insight into what people think are the greatest problem and what they feel is valuable to them.
So one of the tools that JIRA Service Desk provides is the possibility of setting up SLAs. We didn't set up SLAs at the beginning because we felt that they were overly corporate for a company as Spotify. And like people in Spotify could feel this as a thing to measure like people's performance solely in numbers. But really it really was that it was something unknown for us, so we didn't really know what SLA is, what is that, what is this used for, how can we use that, how can we adopt that for the team. So we decided to give it a try, and we set up 2 SLAs, time to first response and time waiting for support. Time to first response measures the time that the ticket is, measures the time that the ticket takes to be answered for the first time. The second one is time waiting for support, which is the time, it measures the time that the ticket is being taken like in a dialogue. So we make sure that we first respond on time, but we also want to see that there is a dialogue happening with the user. Also, another cool thing from JIRA Service Desk is the possibility of setting up queues. So queues is, instead of using filters and labels, as Rick was mentioning, you can create different queues for different things. You can assign queues for SLAs, for example, so to keep track of the SLAs in a queue. You can have different queues for the different teams. For example, we use that in our IT team. They can easily keep track of all the events happening, all the things, all the town halls, all the keynotes, and all the stuff like that. So it's really nice. It's also helped us a lot to see all the important tickets and all the urgent tickets that are happening. So it's really easy just to go click one of the queues and get like an instantly filter and search. Very nice, well done. Triaging is one of the options in JIRA Service Desk, and this is done automatically by the platform, but still, email is a really heavy channel of communication in IT right now in Spotify. So this is a process that we have to do manually now. It's a ticket that comes via email. We have to go and modify all the office As you can see there, like issue type, severity, office, assignee, and labels. This is something we have to do manually, but this is automatic done with JIRA Service Desk, so it's like a really nice thing as well to keep in mind. And we had a knowledge base. We were using Confluence, but we had a lot of documentation there, but we never used that as our main site to go and get information. And this was used by a company as well. We were using Wiki, and we're still using Wiki as well for other things. But we find out, like, if we use JIRA Service Desk, then it's much easier to link Confluence. So installing JIRA Service Desk helps us as well to make our knowledge base look much better. As an example, how do we use that in Spotify? We have different issue types that are the same, like different issues that are VPN issues, for example. Instead of replying to all these tickets, we create one knowledge base article so users can go and find the instructions for setting on the VPN. And this is how our customer portal looks like. This is one of the coolest parts of Service Desk, in my opinion. So this is our IT help desk place where you go and you get help with all the systems you need, or mailing lists, access requests, and these things. So there's like a live example here. There's a user in Amsterdam, for example, trying to set up the printer. Clicks printing, and you have different suggestions. But oh wait, Amsterdam is not there. Okay, so the user decides to open a ticket, print an issue, and then he can fill out all the description, request title, in which office are you based, severity, and this will generate a ticket for our IT support team. The cool thing as well is that the user will have like a menu where he can keep track of all the tickets that are open, and every changes will be notified here and via email as well.
So we had another different, more unique challenge. One of our major ways that the people come to support at Spotify is they actually just walk up to us. And we have our little IT bars in our big major offices. And we thought, well, how can we be able to track, how can we get better metrics out of this? And how can we allow users to be able to follow up on any requests that they come by to IT and they want to follow up on them in future? So we have Hack Weeks too, similar to the Ship It days that we talked about this morning. And during a hack week, Lee Cherry and I, a colleague of mine, we set out to tackle this. And we created a script, first of all, that the technicians could use. And it's a Python script here, pretty speedy. You run the script, and then it creates a ticket straight away. So it meant that when somebody's actually standing there at IT, the technician can just type in pretty quickly, get their username, bam, they've got a ticket through. And then when they've walked away, if they've got any issues with that later on, they can see it in the service portal and they can follow up on it without having to come back down to IT. And then we thought, well, what happens if there's nobody at IT to be able to even sit there and type that in? So we went a little bit further, and then we created an iPad app that we put together. So you could go, I can run the video. So you can click here for an access request, so there's nobody at IT here. It's pretty late out. You can see it's dark outside. Although from Stockholm, it's probably 2 p.m. So I'm seeing here this typing in an issue, pressing continue. And then we got a little printer here as well, so the user can actually take a little physical JIRA ticket away with their ticket number and then track this later on. So they feel like they've got something, even though there's nobody actually there at IT, they've gone away with a little ticket that they can take, and they know that somebody's going to follow up on that later on. This has been really successful for us as well. People really like this. So some results then. What have we found by changing all the support platform? Did we actually manage to sort out this 5% just using Service Desk and everything coming through by email? Well, first of all, I think it's important to highlight a few things. Email is really heavy at Spotify. We email all around, and it's made portal adoption really challenging for us. Also, the visibility into the portal, actually getting people to use the portal, has been quite challenging as well, because there's staff that's been around for years and years, and they don't know. They just email IT, and it goes through. They get a response back. And at launch, we didn't really sell it to people. We didn't have any good, relevant options on the portal, as I mentioned before. We didn't have severity options. The documentation was terrible as well. And we improved on that dramatically. So we're at roughly about 55% today. This is about a year on from when we first launched Service Desk. And it's important to know that in the 45% here, we've got some old legacy systems that are emailing through. There's there's quite a few tickets coming through as well from our Walkup tracker that I mentioned. So actually, we're never going to aim for having this fully 100% because we have other channels that we want for IT support as well. But we're definitely on track to hitting a good goal here and a good amount of tickets through the portal. So we're doing a lot more to drive our portal adoption and to get people using it. One thing we actually do is we don't mention email anywhere. We have an auto-response on the email if people manage to find it, that they would get faster support through the portal. There are a couple of places that we do mention it if it's, for example, access issues, or if it's some old legacy systems and people need access to them, they can't access the portal, then they can send us an email. But we're also trying to drive people to use it through better documentation as well, and having these more relevant categories and forms, and giving this feeling that people are going to get better support through the portal instead of emailing through.
Some more results. We now have 100% of our tickets are categorized. We had only one issue type before, support request. Everything was support request, printers, new phones, contracts, subscriptions, new computer, new phone, everything was support request. Now we have a lot of different categories. Also, we have like 8 times bigger knowledge base, which is like a great success, as I said. 70% of the SLA success. Now we have a metric there. Like, we didn't know about SLAs. We didn't know what was this about, and now we have something really valuable for us to know. This is really good for us because SLAs are been helping us to identify if offices, for example, like Sydney or Singapore, if they need support or not. We didn't know. We didn't have any number to measure this data. So now we know. And also thanks to the Walkup tracker, now we know that 1 in 6 tickets is a walkup. So now we know how busy are we like day to day, how many people are coming to our desk asking for support. And also a very nice result, of course, is feedback. We got very nice feedback from our team and from our colleagues at Spotify, not only from IT people. And this is a quote from Robin, for example. He worked with us in the Stockholm office. He says, our IT portal saves me time since users can triage their own tickets. So yeah, this is fantastic. He's really happy with that. And also we have a lot of teams that are now trying to make like the same support model for their organizations and for their departments. And for example, Luis says that Service Desk is user-friendly even for non-technical users, which is very good.
So what's next for us then? First thing, as I mentioned before, these relevant knowledge-based articles, actually making this the place to go, making the portal have the knowledge that's relevant for users to go and get the fastest support rather than emailing through to IT or even just submitting a ticket through the portal. We also want to deploy our Walkup solution worldwide. We really feel that by putting that in our offices around the world that don't have IT staff, it gives this personal touch that they are getting the response back from IT, which you might not get if you're just sending an email through. So we're looking at developing and putting that out into every office. And also something around satisfaction tracking. We answer all these tickets and we answer them all, but do we know that people are actually satisfied? Do we know that we're meeting the business expectations? We don't know right now. So that's something to sort. So in wrapping up the talk then, we're coming back to the vision that I set out before, and this is shared amongst IT at Spotify. And I really believe that the things that we've spoken about today are something that will help us achieve this vision of providing the personal support to each and every employee. And we hope that it's understood that JIRA and JIRA Service Desk are some tools that you can use to help achieve this vision. Thanks a lot for listening to us today.
So we're going to do a few questions and answers. As a reminder, submit the questions through the app, and we'll go through these. So we actually got some great questions so far. So, so I'll start off my first one. Did you migrate any Wiki articles into Confluence, and how did you accomplish the move?
Daniel, maybe?
Yeah, so the wiki has a lot of articles that are really outdated. So we started doing a cleanup basically, and we tried. It was really difficult because wiki was hardly used by other departments as well. So it's not only involving IT, but also other departments. So this is why wiki is still alive, but we don't use it. In IT, we just rip out all the wiki articles regarding IT accesses and stuff like that, and we created the new ones in Confluence. This was a manual process, and then we just link them in the wiki. So instead of going to the wiki for looking for an access request, click here, and this will redirect you to the Confluence page. You want to add something?
No, there's a transition plan to get everybody else off the wiki as well. So.
It's going to happen.
We're moving full Confluence, but I think it's being driven by IT at this point.
The next question is, why did you decide not to use email and only use the portal?
Well, we still use email. It's still a huge communication channel with IT, and we still feel the need for email. But the problem is here that we have to do some manual work. We need to triage it. We don't know how severe it is for the user. There's fundamental things that we don't know when the user emails it through that we need to be able to answer the ticket quickly. And we don't have that by email. So that's why we try and push people off email.
The next question is, how do you collaborate with developers?
Through
So like, how do you collaborate with developers if there's an issue to do with software or if they're working in JIRA?
I mean, the advantage of working in JIRA is that we can simply move the ticket over to them. If we feel that it's responsible for another team, I mean, we work really closely with financial systems as well, and if it's something more relevant to them, the team knows that they're able to move the ticket there. They might have their own service desk as well as they do in our financial systems department. So then that would trigger on their SLAs, and they would start taking care of that ticket.
Yeah, we can add as well, like, we are now organizing lunch and learns in the office, so we try to mix developers, technicians, and all of us in a room, and we are doing some learning about JIRA and how administering JIRA as well, and going through the basics. So.
The next question is, do you differentiate between the customer's interpretation of what severity is versus your team of how severe the issue actually is?
Not currently. Yeah, the questions come up actually pretty often because, I mean, if we have a P4, does the person really understand what that means? I think that's something that we need to look into further as this gets more and more traction and people use it more and more. Are what we've put in place actually right for the business? And I mentioned about satisfaction tracking as well, and it's not just about are people satisfied with the response times that we give, but also all the functionality of the portal. Are people satisfied with the fact that there's 5 different options of severity? Do they understand them? We've put them in, we don't know right
now. The next question is about your Walkup iPad app. So they ask, did you just build that completely internally?
Yes, we built it internally. It was something, so we have hack weeks that happen once every 6 months. So it's pretty similar to the Ship It days that happen at Atlassian, if anybody was at the presentation earlier. We get to spend the whole week trying to hack on something completely new and different. And that might be business-related stuff, like we worked on. We're trying to solve a business problem. Or it might be something completely wild. There's people that have built exercise bikes connected up to Spotify, and as you cycle faster and faster, Spotify will play faster and faster. So you get fun things that come up as well. But yeah, we built it during the hack week. And it's something we didn't know if it would take off or not. It was just a cool idea at the time, and then it took off really well internally. And people, we didn't have to explain it to people to use it. They just walked up and assumed that they should use it straight away. They saw the options, and people were coming up whilst people were standing there and saying, "But should I use this? Should I put a ticket in as well?" So no.
Yeah, we get a lot of people asking us, like, "Can I talk to you, or should I use the iPad?" Like, they're getting really confused now. That escalated really quickly.
Yeah.
That hack week was really crazy.
The next question is also about Confluence. How do you ensure your knowledge base is current? Do you do regular audits?
Yeah, we try to. It's tricky. There's we have an initiative open, like it's trying to make all the documentation look good, that everything has to be accurate, all the data has to be good as well. But the thing with IT, we depend on a lot of different teams for a lot of different services and systems. So it's not something that we can fix as well. It involves a lot of collaboration within all the Spotify organization, basically. So just to give you an example, we do employee premium, Spotify employee premium to employees, but we don't own the system, so someone else does. And if they do a change, they don't notify us, then the information we are given is wrong. So it's hard to, but we try. Yeah, of course, we try.
The next question is about asset management. How do you use JIRA or JIRA Service Desk to accomplish that?
We don't at the moment is the answer. It's something that we're looking into with some of our partners as well about actually maybe we could integrate this. There's various different plugins in the marketplace as well where you can integrate JIRA Service Desk and have your assets there. So we're looking at some different options right now, but that's not something we have at the moment.
The next question is, do you use other Atlassian tools to communicate in the company?
We use JIRA and Confluence pretty extensively. We also use Slack for our chat tool. Slack's pretty well integrated with JIRA as well. We have JIRA tickets coming through in Slack so we can see things of high priority if they come through. Anything else? I can't think of anything.
Oh, here's an interesting question. What will you do differently when you implemented Service Desk? Was there anything else something which you knew about? Or?
Yeah. Don't launch it until you've spent some time actually figuring out how the options should look. Speak with your customers, and understand their needs first. Just by launching the product, it's not going to solve all of your needs. And that's what we found. I mean, we launched it, and a few people started using it, mostly tech people who were just clicking around. They wanted to try it out. But the company didn't understand the need or why they should use this. And also, we'd done pretty bad there is we hadn't had any good documentation in either. So even when people came there, they didn't get the results that they needed, so they just kept emailing.
I would add as well, like it's really important to educate your IT team. Like we have a lot of IT technicians that they didn't know about the service desk that was in place, and what is this, Rick? Like, what is this tool for? And there's like a different interface where you go and you check your queues, SLAs, and stuff like that. So it's really important not only to say that to your customers or to your users, but also to your team.
Thank you. So actually, you have one more question. So do you use server or cloud?
Server right now.
Okay. All right. Well, that was a very short answer. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.